This is a writing panel about how to deal with the challenges that arrive when you are having characters in your books or novels or manga or whatever that you're doing do stuff without you. Sometimes you see it happen and you can't stop it, and sometimes you wake up and there's a chicken. That's an important factor. All right. I have discovered that there are two kinds of writing styles. There is the discovery method and the dictation method. Dictation method is when you, as the author, decide how things are going to happen, who's going to do them, what the scene looks like, what the setting looks like, and you just tell everything that goes on. Jim Butcher, who does the Dresden Files, this is how he does it. The discovery method is you're just writing this stuff down, and those people over there are being very, very kind to you and letting you watch them do it. And sometimes they kick you out of the room because they don't really want you there for that part, and sometimes they let you stay, and you have to get a little embarrassed. But that's okay. There are a lot of authors, including Stephen King, that does the discovery method. That's why sometimes there's a pop-up monster at the end that doesn't make any sense. We've had talks about this. So, because I hate those. But at the same time, this is one of the things that happens when you do the discovery method. Okay, where are we? All right. Yeah, I am one of those pretentious authors who thinks that I just write this stuff down, the characters actually talk to me. That's crazy. I'm just letting you know in advance. I have voices in my head, and they have action figures, and wardrobes, and houses, and ships.
And getting her to stop describing them to us can be a challenge.
I didn't say that. That was not me. So, but it is one of the things that you do have to do. One of the things about writing in both cases is to write what you know. And you will know almost instinctively upon reading an author's work exactly what they're really, really, really familiar with. If they're going along and your character, the character in the story, picks up a bicycle, and then you've got a good 6 paragraphs of description about what the bicycle is, and you don't even know what the gender of the writer is yet. That might be an indication that the guy writing the story knows a bit about bicycles. And not about how to identify a boy from a girl. Which you can learn in the next panel on costume movement. There are a lot of ways to describe something, and there are a lot of ways to over-describe something. Having over-descriptions is kind of like having a chicken show up in the room and start doing things without you. If you are having somebody read your stuff and they make a comment like, yeah, the clothes are described really, really well, you might want to go back into that scene and have a look at it. Another thing that can happen is, yeah, I was a little curious about whether or not this person's ever actually had sex. Might want to go back into that with a video in play and go, oh, it goes there, okay. Research is very important, and sometimes the chicken is, it wants you to do something, and you go, crap, now I have to study navigation in medieval times to find out exactly how long it takes to do a ship from France to Hungary. That's really hard to find out. And Magellan is really boring. Really boring. But the Sea Trader game is really fun and does it too. So that's a really good way to go. So Sometimes video games help your research, but don't use them exclusively as your research tool. Because that sucks in the credits. Okay, so now we're going to deal with exactly what to do when this happens. First of all, don't try to fight it. This is the moment where you just loosen your grip and let the rope feed through. Instead of being pulled overboard, we're getting your fingers ripped out of the knuckles. All right? Just watch. Let it go. Sometimes they'll do something really, really stupid, and then they'll go, okay, don't write that down. And you go. But sometimes they do something really, really stupid, and you go, did somebody add ninjas? And I didn't know. I didn't have writer's block. I didn't need to add any ninjas right now. By the way, that's a different panel. How to get over writer's block. Add ninjas. You can take them out later. That's pretty much the panel. They give me an hour. Now we're going to act out ninjas. You and you. Wait it out. Just let the thing happen and see what occurs. And watch what happens and see if you get inspired from it. If they're just doing wacky stuff and you're going, this isn't really productive, feel free to put that scene aside for a little while and do something else. Another way to deal with this is to make sure you're recording what's going on. Eventually, something might happen that can be very, very inspiring. They may say something, or do something, or point out a feature. And that is when you get that, oh, that's really cool. So let me get this straight. There's a ritual that this country performs, and you just need the dead person's head. And it makes them tell you everything they were involved in this crime. And they call that what? I'm not saying keep the rest of it, but the ritual name sounds really cool. That happened to me. Where I was just going, really? Really? Then there was Left Son Lutefisk, and I decided I really needed to stop this scene. Who knows what Lutefisk is?
Really, really.
This is going to be so funny then. To make lutefisk, there's lefse and lutefisk. They always put them together because lefse is really good potato bread. And lutefisk is white fish, we think it's white, that you put in a shoebox with lye for 3 days on your porch because you don't want that crap in your house. Am I right? And the lye cooks it. And then you take it out of the lye and you clean it out, I think. I can never tell from the smell if you clean it. But it has a texture a lot like mucus.
Oh.
Yeah. What was that? Yes. Now, an important fashion tip. Who saw Fight Club? Who knows what water and lye do to human skin? So you can't actually touch the lye while you're washing it out. This is a really important point. But yes, lutefisk is terrible, terrible stuff. Norwegians love it. Ew. But when they added the Left Son lutefisk, I felt like I needed to kind of walk away from the scene for a while and let it gel. Turns out both things stayed in. There is a relationship. Another thing, that when you get to the point where you have been inspired by this scene, you have to think about this and pick your fights. It's a lot like dealing with a toddler. You can leave your house just like it is with a toddler and just tell them no constantly. Or you can decide, we're going to make this house a little bit more toddler friendly, and I don't care about that thing over there. I'm not going to fight him and tell him he can't play with the garden hose. It's a garden hose. He's outside. I don't care. But I am going to try and stop him from playing with the gas line hose, because I want to fight that battle. It's a very similar thing with these character discovery chickens. You know, when you've been given an idea and the characters have been given enough rope to do whatever they're going to do, you decide if the scene is a scene you really need to have. When the other one threw in the left side lutefisk, I realized it was a comic relief situation there. And I'm going, well, deadhead, fish. We're going to keep the head for balance. So that's something you need to decide. Am I going to fight the lutefisk and keep the dead head? Or do I really need the two? And how do they relate? You also need to decide if you really, really feel like you have to have control. Really? Is this something you really care about that much? Look, I can tell you probably don't want person A and person B to get together romantically. But if they're gonna do it behind your back anyway, you might want to go ahead and get involved. Because there's something in this character that this character sees, and you wrote it. You may not realize that, but you wrote it. It's there. So check it out. See what's going to evolve from that. If it is an important scene, like the romance, you know, yeah, fight for it. Make sure it's something you really, really, really want to keep. If it's not, if the scene is not a game changer, and you really don't have any ideas what else to do with it, leave the scene in and see what happens afterwards. Your characters will respond to what the weird scene was. You don't always have to describe the whole scene either. There is a fight scene that is referred to in one of another story that I've read. And that fight refers chickens. That's the reason why this is called this. And there's the guard, the head guard of the city, and this really notorious criminal that they've been fighting and running around and chasing each other, apparently for years. And Gomez walks up and says, you know, and Duncan says, well, it looks like you got me. And Gomez says, yeah, and then a chicken in sight. And I'm going, and I went, hey, excuse me, and they both go, yes. And they go, where'd the chicken come from? And they go, so anyway. No idea, but it's there. And this is very important, because you too, as readers, are going to go, where did the chicken come from? This is a story. And I'm going to follow these characters until I find out about the damn chicken. There will come a time where the chicken will be revealed, and I will then know it. And I will have stayed through 8 books to find this chicken.
I've read everything she's written. She still doesn't know where the chicken came from.
But I suspect there's a wagon involved now, too. I think it's only for balance. Wagon, chicken. I really hope the chickens are not on the wagon, because I don't think a fruit cart scene is really going to do it for me.